Hello, welcome into the 2025 Coaches Show. Gary Ball with Mike Meehan, the one and only. We're here with the first coaches up. Will be from Tate's Creek, Jonathan Hawks, fastest man in arena football. Oh, he's gone. He's down the line. Where'd he go? Where'd he go? And Nathan McPeak, the coach of Frederick Douglass, the Broncos. They're in here too. But I tell you what, Coach, we're looking forward to a great season this year on PrepSpin.
Yeah, this is really fun. And with this setup that William has and this mobile studio, we can go to different games anytime we want to. Talk to these guys like this. You know, get them now where they're relaxed. They're still in practice. Try to talk to them before a game. Can't get anything out of them.
Well, this show, of course, is brought to you by Rafferty's Restaurants. We just had dinner at Rafferty's, and Coach, I think everybody was pretty pleased with their meal.
Absolutely. I had that open-faced prime rib, which is my favorite.
He loves that prime rib, I tell you. And as we say, we want to thank Roberts Insurance. They're in Richmond, Kentucky. They insure 3/4 of this great state of Kentucky with that catastrophic insurance. You know, they cover all the high schools, and it's a real important insurance. And Roberts Insurance on Main Street in Richmond will provide that for you.
Yeah, that's excellent. We've had a lot of sad things going on with these floods in eastern Kentucky, and hopefully they were insured.
Well, let's get right into the conversation with these two great coaches, Jonathan Hawks and Nathan McPeak. Jayhawk, you and I have known each other a long time. You're the coach at Tate's Creek. Last couple years, I think you really brought them to where you're recognized in Lexington as a good football team. This year, I think you got a really good team.
Yeah, this year, I think the one thing. Can you hear me, Gary? Yeah, all right. I think the one thing about this season that I probably enjoy the most is just knowing that we got kids that's been with me for the last 4 years since I've taken over, and then you got the ones that's come behind them, and they just know the system. You know, you don't worry about people showing up late. You don't worry about people getting in trouble in the school building. Like, everything is pretty much moving forward like you want it to do.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you, one of the things I believed in as a father and as a coach was to have kids that played multiple sports. And I know you've set a precedent, had a really good track program over there. How do you connect those two, the track team and the football team?
Yeah, so all my receivers, DBs, and even my throwers, they all participate in track. And so throughout the spring, I pretty much got to trust my coaching staff. I got to trust that they're going to do what they need to do in the off-season training, but I'm full-time track. And so how I correlate the two is forcing my kids to understand what the body mechanics take, the health, the way you have to treat your body in moments like this. And it's just something I preach every single day because I do it myself.
Well, can you give me an example right now on this team of kids that do track and football?
Yeah, so all 4 of my receivers that start, well, all 3. So I have two guys that we had a relay team that ended up getting runner-up at the state meet this year, broke a 15-year school record, and all 4 of those guys start receiver and DB for me. So, you know, these are guys that are with me all year, and you're just doing the best you can to just show them that the speed portion of it. I mean, I'm a speed guy. I'm from Georgia. I mean, Pete knows about Georgia. That's all it is. People preach speed. And when you get it, you just want to show the kids here in Kentucky that we can run just like they do back at home in Georgia. So,
well, you know, one thing you say about speed, the Cooper guys on the outside provide a lot of speed for you. You're going to rely on them a lot this year, especially with your quarterback back and B.J. Evans in the backfield. Yep. You can really open up down the field, can't you?
Yeah, one thing about, I want to give JT and Luke a lot of credit. They've been with us 4 years and literally have just from the bottom to get to where they are right now. JT committed to Gardner-Webb University, but he measured out at 6'4", 195 and ran a 4.52 in front of a bunch of coaches. So it's kind of hard not to, you know, you can't pass up on somebody with that size and can do that. So, I mean, I'm proud of them guys because they've taken track serious, they've taken football serious, and they've just changed the way that their bodies look. So I'm excited about what they're able to do this year.
Well, before we get to Nathan McPeak, we'll come back to you. You open up Saturday night, I believe it is, at Mercer County. Tell us about that game.
Craig's going to have those kids ready to play. I mean, you know, me and Craig are teammates, and it's always a big deal when we play each other. And he's going to have those kids playing hard and ready to go. And so it's my job as a head coach, you know, for our team to make sure we're ready to go as well. I expect it to be physical, and it's going to be a later game, so it's all about how you prepare getting into that moment. So preparation right now is what I'm more focused on, more so than just the game itself. Like, how do we prepare to get to that game?
Nathan McPeak, the coach of Douglas, is in with us. Nathan, you lost a lot of talent off last year's team, especially a young man by the name of Avion Chanel, a great football and basketball player. How do you replace guys like that? I mean, they're so talented. At Douglas, you seem to replace them every year.
Yeah, I mean, Avion had a great year last year. He's actually doing really well at Western Michigan right now in camp. So he ran with the twos a couple of days ago in their scrimmage. So, I mean, he's right there being able to play as a true freshman. So, you know, and we had 29 seniors last year. We had 29 seniors last year, 25 the year before. And, you know, we only have 12 seniors this year. So we're a relatively young team this year. Very inexperienced. It showed in our scrimmage against St. X on Friday. You know, we just couldn't sustain, you know, quarter after quarter, drive after drive, because a lot of our young kids aren't used to going that hard against a good opponent. So it's going to be a work in progress. This is probably the youngest team we've had at Douglas in probably 5 or 6 years. We have some talented kids, some good football players, but it's going to take some time. And you know, our schedule is very elite, very intense. We're playing some of the best people in the state week in and week out. So you better get going or you're going to get embarrassed.
You and I were talking, and then you said if you win 5 games, you know, you could probably be, with that schedule, though Trinity and all the teams you play, open up with Highlands, you could probably be the coach of the year. And I agree, if you win more than 5 games, you might be the coach of the year in the nation.
I don't know about that, but you know, joking aside, you know, and we want to win every game. We want to compete. Standard's a standard, but you know, we're definitely going to be battle tested. I just hope by the time the playoffs, you know, roll around, district time, you know, we're healthy. That's the only major worry about people we have to play is, you know, week in and week out, you're not going to be able to sub a whole lot of guys. You know, your guys are going to have to play week in and week out. So, but I think pretty much anybody that can win 6A, you know, we're playing on in the regular season. So, coach has done a really good job with his team, and you know, we're looking forward to playing against his team. He's got a really good group, and you know, but our first 3 games are pretty tough too. So, you know, we're on the road at Highlands, on the road at Trinity, then we play DuPont Manual at home. So our first 3, we'll know a lot about ourselves, that's for sure.
Coach, I've really admired the way you run that program over there.
Thank you.
In fact, you know, I'm pretty impressed with your whole family, because I've run into McPeaks before in other places.
Yeah.
But I think one of the things that's impressed me is I know some of the kids that have been there that played, they're all young men, and I just wanted to tell you, is that part of your program where you build that man, that real football player into somebody special that can go on in life?
Yeah, I say it all the time, like in our program, you know, it's not for everybody. You know, we've had, it's not talked about a lot, but we've had more kids leave our program than we've had come in, and that's okay. And I'll support every kid, I love them. But Douglas football is not for everybody. The way we do things, and you know, the time commitment, you know, guys that play, we have a lot of guys that play basketball too, and they'll tell you, you know, it's a lot. Football's a lot. So, you know, we believe in our core principles. We believe in player development, you know, lifting weights, running, you know, making it, you know, more of a meeting and assessment, you know, just like class is. You know, it's a lot. You know, our system offensively and defensively is very college-based. You know, we give players a lot of knowledge, a lot of freedom, but it's a lot of the same things they're going to learn at the college level. So, and one thing I always ask our guys that we get signed places is, what can I do better? What do you feel like, you know, going in as a freshman, what are you good at? And I'm always getting a lot of positive feedback that they feel a little bit more ahead of the other incoming freshmen. And I take that as the ultimate compliment, you know, that they're prepared for that. And I can't, you know, mimic exactly what that is, obviously being a high school, but we try the best we can to try to for them to understand that this isn't a hobby. You know, if you want to do this and do it right, it takes a lot of commitment, and you know, that's kind of what we do. But I appreciate the kind words.
For Coach Hawks, I mean, you hear him talking about youngest team they've ever had. You're the only team in your district that hasn't removed Douglas or Bryan Station from your schedule. I think the streak's about 36. I mean, what can Tate's Creek do this year to compete with Douglas? Because you asked me a couple years ago, is Douglas really that good? And I went, Douglas is really that good. What have you learned, and what is your team? How is your team rising up to that? Try to be at that level.
I think the first thing you got to do is pay respect to those who've done it before you, right? So when I took over Tates Creek, in my mind, I'm not going to take them off the schedule just because they've been whooping everybody's tail. I want to be there with them. You know, I want to compete. In order for you to compete, iron has to sharpen iron, and I'm a competitor. So my kids have had to grow and learn how to be competitive themselves, and I think Douglas has been that staple of a program in this city for so long that if kids can just realize, if you just work hard, like Coach just said, with his core principles and everything he's put into his program, if you do those same things, your program can too grow as well. But you can't duck and dodge every opponent just because of their name or because they're a little bigger than you are. None of that stuff should matter. Like, if you know how to train, you know how to develop, you know how to work, then those things will eventually get you to where you want to go as a program.
Well, I'll echo what Coach Meehan said to Coach McPeak. I think as a coach, one thing you brought to the table that really stands out to me is you brought a good background in being a good person, and you convey that to, because your players, if they think you care, they know you care, they're going to play. I remember doing Mike Yeagle's games back in the 90s, a coach at Beechwood, when he won 7 state championships. The thing is, when Mike Yeagle talked to his players, they go through a wall for him, you know what I'm saying? Because they cared about him, he cared about them.
Yes.
Just like Coach Big Peak said, he loves his players, and I know you do too. You're very good at working individually with your players.
Yeah, it's tough sometimes, and McPeak, he's even said this to me, like, being the head track coach, I give my heart to those kids the same way as I do as a head football coach, and I'm year-round. Like, we've already started training track in July. You know what I mean? Nothing has changed with me. Like, everything that I've been doing, because at the end of the day, those parents, they want their kids to go to college and track just like they do in football. So I can't let the standard drop just because I'm a head coach of another team. So everything that I do is through my hard work, and I would say the same for McPeak. It's all hard work. I mean, I demand a lot from coaches. You know, I demand a lot from the program, and if you don't have a demand, then you leave too much room for grade.
Right.
You know,
You got to set the bar, don't
Yeah,
you?
yeah, you have
and
to.
kids respond to that. If I get both of you in the mic, talk to you both about your individual talent this year. I know you have a great back in B.J. Evans. I think you rushed for what? It was
like $17.99.
like leading rusher in the 6A last year. And you have a young man backman named Talbert. You talked to us about Evans, what makes him such a good back, and what makes Talbot such a good back.
You go. Because I want to hear you.
Dakari is, I don't think he's talked about enough just because we did split our carries a lot last year. But, he had 160, 170 yards in the Rafferty's Bowl last year against Bowling Green. And, we were kind of forced to move him around a little bit to get a little bit more athletic on the edges, playing some slot receiver because he's got good hands and doing some things. So he kind of had to sacrifice kind of what he's really good at for the betterment of the team. And he was only a sophomore, so that was a really good lesson for him to learn. But I do think he has a skill set to be in that top 10 players in the state of Kentucky, even as a junior. He's a kid that can take it, like he took it 70 yards against St. X Friday, and we didn't block it right at all. He was just being an athlete. So he's very explosive. He's a kid that you want to get the ball to, like BJ, and he can do it all. He can block, he can pass pro. He's up to 185 pounds. He's up 15 pounds from last year, which is credit to him. Coach touched on that a little bit with changing of bodies. That's big, especially if you want to get recruited out of high school now. With the portal, you got to look the part. You can't be what it used to be and wait. Colleges can't wait anymore. So, been on our kids about that, and he's just an all-around good back, and I expect big things from him.
I got to ask you, though, will he be like your Avion Chenault this year? Will he assume that role maybe?
Yeah, I mean, he's a kid that, we definitely want to get the ball to a little bit more, but we have 2 other good backs, but, he's a guy that we definitely want to get the ball to. And, Avion was a big threat out wide. Dakari's more of that running back, kid. So, we got to have some other guys step up to the plate at receiver. We got some good players, but, it's unproven like the rest of our team, really. So, a lot of guys have to prove that they belong starting this Friday, and we'll kind of go from there.
Well, Harmon, the young man that played for you last year, we had him on our show. He's a really good student. He's really well-rounded everywhere and everything he does.
Yep.
And he's going to wear number 72 this year.
Yeah, yeah. He just now finished all his cadet stuff
Yeah.
at Coast Guard, and he's in football camp right now. He's doing really well. Great kid. Obviously he did everything we asked him to do, and he's going to be great in the military.
And Jayhawk coach,
No, I was going to say, let's go back a little bit, some X's and O's here. You both had scrimmages. We'll start with you, Jayhawk. What did you learn from the scrimmage? Did you see strengths and weaknesses?
Yeah, I'll start with a weakness. A weakness of ours is we've been, since I've taken over the program, we've been just trying to find an identity as a program as far as, we have a chip on our shoulder just because that's just who I am. I mean, I don't know how to not work. So my kids have just kind of taken that on. But outside of that, and showing up and doing the things you're supposed to do, I think the one thing that we learned from ourselves over this past 2 weeks is that we got to start faster. We can't just wait to get punched in the mouth to see how somebody, can swing. We got to stop taking the first punch. We got to understand how to deliver a blow. And so if that was a weakness of mine that I got to say, it got us a little bit. We start slow, and then once we realize what we're capable of doing, even though it's a basic bland offense or basic bland defensive play style, we got to learn that regardless, we still got to come out and play fast. So now strength is that we've gotten way more athletic than we used to be in the past. We have a lot more speed on defense and on offense. We got a kid that's a sophomore that I really think could end up being one of the best DBs this state seen in the past 2 or 3 years because he has a lot of speed and he's young. He's I don't know. I'm just thankful because our kids are really starting to buy into the hard work and the work ethic, and they're not afraid to play people anymore. It used to be, you mentioned, a schedule, and they'll start, man, we're going to get our butt beat. But now, they're starting to realize we work hard just like everybody else, so we deserve to play those good teams. And so, to Coach's credit, he's not going away from playing those tough teams. He has a really tough team they're playing this week. We have to get to that place where playing Highlands and playing Trinity and St. X, those things don't bother our kids anymore. And we're getting closer. That thing is starting to really get to where that doesn't bother my kids' mindsets anymore. And I think that's how I'm starting to see that we're getting stronger. So I would take a positive and say our kids are starting to realize who we are. So now let's just take it to whoever we play against.
B.J. Evans is probably one of the best backs I've seen in Lexington in a while.
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't get any credit at all.
Mm-mm.
At all. And I tell you what, I think he's in for a big year because he's got a lot of confidence with what he did last year.
Yeah.
How are you going to help him get to that point this year?
BJ got up to 215 this offseason, and BJ's fast. I mean, he's a different kind of back, but he got up to 215, and I had to get him to trim it down a little bit because he wanted to be a bowling ball, right? And but I told him a lot of colleges want to see him take it to another gear, being able to break tackles, but also being able to make some more shiftier moves. So he's kind of trimmed himself back down just to make sure that he's getting himself in a position to where he can not only be elusive but be fast and still have the power that he had last year. So I look for BJ to have a really good year, but not only because of the way he can play. His mindset's gotten different. He's not taking it so personal when the linemen don't maybe block the way that he's, last year that was growing pains for him. He was getting frustrated with certain linemen not moving out of the way, and he had to learn, I got to be more patient as a running back, because sometimes the blocks do take a while to develop, right? But it's got to develop. Yeah, so it took him a while to get there, but now that he's went through that first year, and this year it's just been more of a, I know what I got, so now let's go ahead and go get it.
Nathan, same question to you. Your scrimmages, did you learn positive, negatives?
A lot of negatives last Friday against St. X, but we hung in there for a little while, but they're really good. Kevin's done a good job with him. This is his last year there, so positives is for me just getting playing experience. Because at one time when I looked out there on our offense, we had 9 guys. That was their first varsity snap. So we only have 2 guys back on offense that have played varsity football. That's Dakari and Razion Gillespie, which is our left tackle. Those are only 2 guys. When I subbed a couple of guys, as kind of our, I call them 1.5. So when we're rolling some of those new guys in, that are playing. So they just need to play. They need to get out there and play. And like I said, our schedule is tough, obviously, but you learn by playing those teams and competing, and that's kind of where we're at. And it's a blessing to be in that position, but it's also very difficult when you have a youthful team. Something that we're going to have to go through. So I would say that was really a strength of just getting out there and doing it. Weakness is our conditioning levels. We've done a lot of the same conditioning we've done in years past, but again, where we are younger, those guys got amped up in pregame, and then they got tired by the second quarter. So they have to find that fine line, as like, okay, I've got a game to play. I can't get too up in pregame, and so I think some of our kids, we come in and they kind of understood that, especially today. So, I'd say weakness is that's something that we got to get better at, and obviously, we got to be able to play a certain way to compete with some of the people we got to play. Because a lot of teams we're going to play are going to be older, are going to be bigger, just because we have a lot of juniors and sophomores that we're going to be relying upon this year.
Practice is practice, Gary, but nothing beats a game experience.
Exactly.
Coach,
it's different.
Right. Nobody will play. That's like Trinity. That's why Trinity was playing all these teams in Indiana, out of the area, because nobody was scheduling. But you had the desire to schedule Trinity, but you run into a little bit of that same dilemma they are, getting teams to play you, Coach.
Yeah, I appreciate it. That's a lot of hard work by former coaches and players, and kind of where our program is. And with the RPI system, we did a couple out-of-state games a couple years ago. We were kind of forced to. We only played 9 games a couple of years ago. We had 2 bye weeks. So, in order to find 10 games, we're playing the best at 4A, 5A, 6A. So, it's kind of where we're at. But, we're lucky to at least find 10 games in state, because I'm sure Coach would attest to this. We played Akron-Hoban out of, Ohio and Cathedral. Akron-Hoban went 14-2. Cathedral went 10-3, and we got credit for playing 5-5 teams, because that's what the formula does in our RPI system in the state. So it really doesn't do you any good to play bad or good teams out of state. Trinity has to, obviously, to find 10, and it doesn't bother them as bad. But, for me, if I can find 10 in-state games, that's what you want to do, because you get more credit for it. So.
Coach, you're not as big up front anymore in offense or defensive line.
Yep.
You're an offensive line guy. What's the challenge to get these smaller guys? And you've had like one big guy just about every year up until now.
Right.
I mean, what's your challenge now to get those guys?
They got to play with better leverage. I think they found that out on Friday. But it's there's no secret formula to it. We are a little smaller. We are faster on the D line than we've been, but we are a little smaller just because I have no seniors on the O line this year. It's the first time that's happened in a long time. So I have juniors and sophomores that are playing. So, it's going to be a lot of growing pains, but I think they'll get better as the season goes on. But you definitely got to play with leverage. 1 inch of leverage is 10 pounds of body weight. So, you got to play with better leverage, because, this week against Highlands, all 4 of their guys on the front are 280 plus, 300 pounds. So they're bigger guys. They're going to be stronger than us. So, you got to have some fight about you. And, there's really, again, no secret to it. You got to be able to come off the ball. That's one thing felt like we didn't do in the scrimmage, is we kind of waited up front, O-line, D-line, where St. X was more coming across on us. And that's just inexperience, not being as big and strong as we can be yet. And that's just going to take time, right? So it's definitely a challenge. It's a concern, as we move through the schedule, that's for sure. But I think if we can stay healthy by the time, district rolls around and playoffs, for me, that's why I'm playing this schedule, is to get ready for November, because that's what it's all about, is that month and trying to, win as many playoff games as possible.
Well, I think we got about 5 minutes left, Jayhawk. You'll jump in there. I want to ask you about your schedule. We mentioned you opened up with Mercer County in the Harrodsburg Bowl, with the Johnson, his father, his bowl.
Yep,
and then Ashland comes. Yep. You go to Astor Place, and then you play South Odom, Douglas, Bryan Station, Ryle, Dunbar, Lafayette, Henry Clay, West Jasmine. You got a pretty good schedule too.
We had the schedule pretty hard because the last 2 or 3 years, again, just trying to get our kids used to playing tougher teams. If I keep playing teams that nobody's going to really give you credit for beating, then you're really doing a disservice to your kids, because there's a lot of colleges out there looking for. They're not crazy, they're not dumb. They know you're not playing anybody, so you're not gonna get the respect that you deserve as far as playing some high caliber athletes. So the best thing that I can say about that, Gary, is that I think our kids are prepared for it. Ashland's gonna be a really strong team. I know that me and Coach talked about it before. Ashland's got just as much talent as anybody else in the state. I mean, they're going to bring a busload of kids in here that's going to be ready to win a ball game. So we got to be prepared for that. And South Odom, they're going to be really tough. They're going to be big and they're going to be physical up front. So we got to utilize that game to get ready for the following week, which is Douglas. And so you got to continue to just prepare your kids for these tough challenges because, again, people don't give our district the credit that they deserve, but every team in our district is getting better, and we got to continue to play the games before the district game. We got to play them tough and play them hard because our district, they're going to play us just as tough as they're going to play anybody else. They're going to play us probably harder just because they want to try to, they want to try to beat us too. We've been winning the last 2 years, the district. So, I mean, it's only fair and only right for them to come out and try to take us out this year. So,
well, Coach McPeak, we know you play Highlands this Friday night. We wish you good luck in that one.
Appreciate
Fort
it.
Thomas, I'm very familiar with Highlands. I covered their games for about 15 years. Bob Spires up there now.
Yep, Bob.
Trying to get it. Ever since Dale Mueller left, they haven't won a state title. But anyway, they're trying to get it going.
He's got a good group. He called me wanting to play, so I knew they weren't going to be bad. I don't get too many of them calls.
Yeah, they want to play when the coach calls you.
Yeah. Yeah, you're good, man. He's got a good team.
Yeah, well, it's great having you guys on the show. We look forward to the season. We open up with the ecampus.com Bowl over to LCA. We've got a doubleheader, Bryan Station, South Warren, and then what's the second game, Jared Peck? LCA and North Hardin. There'll be two good ball games over
North
there.
Hardin will be athletic.
Well, thank you very much, guys. Great job, Jayhawk, and
Appreciate
Nathan
it. Thanks for having us, guys. Appreciate what you do.
Thank
Good luck.
you for coming in. Good luck.
thank y'all so much.
To it. Okay, Jared Peck. Thank you, Jared.
I didn't mean to steal your
And
thunder.
you're welcome.
Nah,
And,
Good to see you, man. Yeah.
We'll take a break. We'll take a break, and we'll be back on the Coaches Show with a couple more coaches. Wes Johnson and John Lawson coming up after this. Welcome back to the Coaches Show. We're talking with Wes Johnson of Paul Lawrence Dunbar, one of our favorites, and he's in there with us. And thanks to Jay Hawk and Nathan McPeak, they did a great job.
They did a really good job of talking about their program and, you know, all the outside stuff too. Really good job.
That's what we want to talk to Wes Johnson about. Inside of your program, you brought one of your star captains with you.
That's right.
And let's talk about the Bulldogs. You know, last year, that was last year. It's in the rearview mirror now.
That's right.
But so I shouldn't bring it up. You lost quite a few games in the last 3 minutes of the game that you could have won because of youth. Now you got more experience back, Coach.
Right. Everybody, you know, asked me, well, you know, you guys had a tough year last year, and I always kind of answer that with, well, you know, from maybe your perspective, but for our perspective, we actually took tremendous strides with a very young team. I mean, when you play 6A football with 7 sophomores and 2 freshmen that are starting out there, that's a tough thing to do, you know, to go do that and to really be in every ball game and just not be able to pull it out. Many times we were thrilled with the outcome, you know, and how we were playing and how we were competing, you know, and being so young, because there's a huge difference between 18 years old and 15 years old. So, you know, it's a big time difference. So with all those guys back this year, year older, their bodies look different, mindsets different. You know, I'm really excited to see what they can do on the field.
Yeah, I think one of the things that I've heard is that your off-season program's gotten stronger too.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about that.
Well, you know, I'm going to let Connor comment a little bit on our off-season program as well. So this is one of my senior captains here, Connor Norseworthy, and I'll let him say a few words about that.
I think one of the biggest parts about the off-season program this year is that there's more consistency with it. I think in years before, we've had players miss, we've had just it's gotten a little off track. But I think the biggest part about this year is we've had players step up every single day. I think it's been a big thing on the seniors this year to really get people going, getting the morning workouts. And I think we've had a good strength coach and a good conditioning coach in Randy Wood. And I just think we feel really good about how the way we've gotten stronger, faster, more agile this year, and I feel really good about that.
Well, you know, you think of Dunbar, and you always think of tough, hard-nosed players and good athletes. Like I remember back when Ben Meehan played at Dunbar and Dougie Allen, people like that. You've always had talented, and what you got last year and you're seeing this year, you got people that put forth the effort. So, you know, this year, if you put forth that effort and you got more talent and more experience, you should win more ball games.
Yeah, good things will happen to those who work. And, you know, that was kind of the big thing was really just focusing on being all in. You know, that was really what we wanted from the off season, is that, you know, we just kind of wanted to make football hard again at Dunbar. And I had to take a couple years, I think, just because of numbers. And I think COVID did it, to be honest.
Yeah.
Where we just didn't get the numbers out. So I had to kind of, you know, dumb it down a little bit and keep it a little bit watered down so we could have enough players to have some talented, you know, teams. And we did. We've won a lot of games over there in the last. This is my 8th year, and so we've had some tremendous success over the last 8 years.
Yeah,
and,
you have.
And these 2 years here have been a little bit dry, but you know, that sometimes that's just the buildup of something that is going to be special. And I think this year can be one of those years.
Yeah, you go through hard times. It seems like you're going through those rough times. What's at the end of the tunnel, you know?
Yeah.
What's at the end of the tunnel is your team winning football games.
Right.
I think you see that from this team.
Yeah.
And you know what, Connor? Yeah, Connor, you know, what you mentioned a little bit about everybody showing up for workouts and everything. One thing I learned in 35 years of coaching was, number one, you want to win games. But number two, you want to form relationships. Because the best teams that I have ever coached, they loved each other. All the linemen went out. They get thrown out of restaurants when they had all you can eat and they were asked to leave. You know, the backs and receivers in the winter would go at tennis courts and throw the ball back and forth. So everybody cared about each other, and I think that's what I'm seeing at Dunbar. And I gave Wes that tribute. I swear, they have had so many coaches over the years. And one thing I told Wes when he first gets the job, do you want your family to stay here? Do you want to be part of this place? And he said yes, and he has done that. So congratulations to both of you, what you're doing. Now, X and O question. You've had 2 scrimmages. What have you learned from the scrimmage? Where do you feel your strengths are? Where do you feel your weaknesses are?
You want to answer a little bit of that too? I can do a little bit.
I can answer some.
I'll talk some.
Now, I think offensively, I think our biggest strength this year is that we play into our strengths this year. I think in years past, we've tried to do some things on offense that maybe we didn't have the personnel for, but I think we're going to see this Saturday about the things we do on offense. You're going to see, like, oh, wow, they're really using their athletes to their advantage this year. And I think defensively, I think that's where we've had the most turnover from last year. I think our experience and I think our physicality is really stepping up from last year and this year. And it's year 2 in a new defense. I think that's really going to turn some heads. I think we're really going to hold some teams this year.
What do you play specifically?
On offense, I play wide receiver and slot receiver, and on defense, I play cornerback and a little bit of free safety.
Good.
And, I think with the X's and O's, we are not a team that can line up and out physical you because of our size. We're not a big football team by any stretch of the imagination. So we have to be very creative on both sides. And I think that maybe you saw that a little bit last year. Our defense is very unconventional. We're sound and we do things, but it's like the old Storm defenses that you guys used to have at Dunbar. Where you guys are bringing guys up in the box. You have no idea which direction we're bringing people, but we're bringing them every play. And we're going to be real physical. We're going to bring the fight to you. Offensively, we're option this year. We're probably going to be 90%. If you've seen Navy play, that's exactly what we do.
Hard to stop.
Yep. So I think we can be a preparation nightmare for somebody, having to prepare for option and our defense in the same week. That's a tough thing to do. We want to be one of those teams on the schedule where we have a hard time getting teams to play us because, if they're not in our district, it's a headache. It's a headache to prepare for Scott County's wing tee. You know what I mean? You don't see it. Yeah. That's not a game sometimes you go out and schedule because nobody else does it. So, you could look pretty stupid going out there in 1 week and trying to play the wing tee. So that's kind of, for us, spread option is the same thing. It's very, very difficult to just line up 1 week and try to teach your scout team to, run the triple option. So,
Coach's Show, Wes Johnson of Dunbar is in studio, in their mobile broadcast studio with us. I want to thank Clark's Pump and Shop, Return, Refresh, Refuel, UK Healthcare, Sports Medicine. Also want to thank Mingy Beef Jerky and BSN Sports. I want to thank eCampus.com. Remember the eCampus.com Bowl doubleheader, both games right here on this state on PrepSpin Friday. It's starting at 5:30, Coach.
Yes, sir. Be ready to go.
And Dunbar, I'm looking at your schedule, Coach, because that's pretty important.
Yeah.
I always look at the schedule.
That's right.
You open up with the Wayne County.
Yeah.
You play them Saturday in Somerset.
Yeah.
And that is the Blakely Bowl? Alton Blakely Bowl.
Alton Blakely Bowl.
And then you got Lexington Catholic.
Yeah.
Reason I say that, I'm not looking ahead, but from PrepSpin's point, it might be we had the Lexington Catholic Dunbar game on TV here on PrepSpin. So tell us what we can expect in that game, or tell us about Wayne County first, and then we'll talk about Catholic.
Wayne County, big and physical. They have a big offensive line. They got a great quarterback. The kid just is, a flat-out great runner, a great competitor. We expect to see heavy doses of him, all night long. I think he had some crazy number of carries last year. So he's the primary ball handler of that team. But they had some other nice pieces as well. Like I said, big and physical up front. They won a lot of games last year. They've got a lot of kids back, and so I know they expect themselves to be a pretty good team. So it's a good challenge for us to start off the year.
Let's switch gears a little bit and talk about your personnel. Mm-hmm. You mentioned to me a lot of different players that if I had my chart ready, I could mark them all down and start but you got a lot of key parts from last year, starting with your defensive line and your edge and your linebackers. Tell us about them.
Yeah, so up front we're we're pretty tall and skilled. Will Amstutz is our strong side defensive end. He's about 6'4", about 230.
A little guy.
Yeah, a little guy. And then our other defensive end, Tolly Carter, he's around 6'4" and about 235. So those guys are really nice sized
Knock
kids.
some passes down.
That's right. So they got great arm length, arm span, real strong. Will's done a great job in the weight room. He's put about 30 pounds on his body since last year. So he's really done a great job in the weight room. Linebacker wise, we have a new player that came, he was actually in our district, but came from another school to join us. His name is Locke Loftus. He's a really good wrestler, but he's our middle linebacker along with Grayson Rogers. He's
I
a
like
returner.
those wrestlers that can play football, Coach.
Yeah,
they're always they got good positioning. They got good
leverage. Good
leverage.
They know their leverage, and they can rip your esophagus out.
Just remember one name. Landon Young.
Yeah.
He was a heavyweight wrestler, won the heavyweight in Kentucky, and now he plays for New Orleans Saints.
That's right. It's pretty good career right there. Caleb Monroe is actually our leading tackler back from last year at Sam linebacker. So our box is really good. And then we return both Joseph and Jacob Conate. Both of them are back, along with Noah Barrett, who's a sophomore this year. He started as a freshman last year.
I remember the name.
Luke Ayub. Luke Ayub is our weak safety. He's back this year. So we've really upgraded our secondary with Ryan Barrett and Connor. They have been primarily offensive players, but I came into the season telling them, you're going to play DB. And I look like a genius at this point because they're both doing bang-up jobs. Connor is I can't imagine there's a whole lot of there's 10 DBs better than him. Our other kid, Ryan Barrett, had 2 interceptions in our scrimmage the other night against Franklin County Emmanuel. So not too shabby competition, and was able to come up with some interceptions. So defensively, I believe we may be the best we've ever been. Besides 2020. Now 2020 was special. 2020 had college level size, and that was a big difference maker. Was the size of those kids. Luke Olive, who's actually a captain at Georgetown College, he was a defensive end and tight end for me, and now he's a captain at Georgetown. We had a 6'6", 380-pound nose guard, and we had, across the board, we were 6'5" and 6'6" across the line of scrimmage. I mean, and we had 3 linebackers that played at Morehead State on that team. So there was the size differential, but now in terms of scheme and getting after it and what we can do to you on defense, this may be one of the better teams I've had.
I'll defer to Coach, the offensive guru here, about your offense.
Yeah, are you doing double wings, slot wing?
So we'll do a lot. If you watched Navy last year, they were in the flex bone, and then they'll jump into some shotgun and do some option at shotgun too, and do some little bit almost like a shotgun wing tee with it. So we'll be back in shotgun a little bit, but we'll also be under center doing the old flex bone.
Good. I want to give you a little for your bucket list.
Okay.
Go to the Army-Navy game.
Oh, I'd love to.
I've been to 2.
Really, yeah.
And you'll never forget it. And you too. If you have a chance to do it, you will never forget it. It's just spectacular. Yeah. And those 2, they bang for 4 quarters and then sing their songs afterwards, But I went to one Army-Navy game, and it was in about 2-3 inches of snow covered the field. And I was sitting way up high. My buddies left me. They didn't want to stay up there, so they went down somewhere down there. And I was up there watching, but Navy wore white.
Oh, wow.
I couldn't see a player.
Oh, yeah.
They blended into the snow from where I was sitting. I said, heck, why be here? I'm seeing one team play with the snow. But, okay, so that's your offense. Now, I know there are people going to be watching this game, parents. They're going to want me to ask about the kicking game.
Oh, sure.
Because you know how them kickers are.
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit about your kicking game.
Well, we have a young kicker, sophomore. His dad actually was a kicker at Louisville, and so Jackson Meredith has done a great job in really just getting stronger. He doesn't. We're going to have to be creative in the kicking game a little bit because strength will come. But special teams, we're really good, and we'll be real dynamic in special teams. We do a lot in our return game. We do a lot on our extra point, so we'll make you line up in a lot of different ways, trying to get a quick 2. My goal is to be the hardest team to prepare for in a week that you can possibly play, because you can't do it all, especially if you have a bunch of two-way players and you're trying to replicate triple option, replicate our defense, and replicate all the ninja stuff we do on extra point. And we could jump into it in the middle of the field, and that sort of thing. So there's a lot of stuff that you're gonna have to spend a lot of time on during the week, and really kind of get that preparation.
Coach, before you get away, we got to ask you here. Let's ask Connor, what type of year do you expect as a whole from the team?
Now, obviously, last year didn't go the way and what I wanted, or even the year before that. Cause I started being a starter as a sophomore, and I never really had a winning season yet. And so I'm gonna put it out there right now that I think we're really gonna have a winning season this year. I think we're gonna win some games that maybe some people probably marked us off for, because I think that the leadership and I think the energy on the team this year is something that I haven't seen since maybe my freshman year, if at all. I feel really good about it. I love the way my teammates are connected this year. It's never felt like this before. I'm just really optimistic, and I'm really excited for our first game, week 1, and all the way to our last game against Eastern. So I'm excited to see how it goes this year.
Well, Coach, we certainly appreciate you being on the show.
Sure, thank you.
Good luck with Dunbar this year, Coach.
Absolutely.
I expect a good season out of Dunbar. Don't
I
you?
do too. I earn some respect and play hard and have fun doing it. And you guys will be fun.
And
That's right.
next up with us, we're going to have Philip Hawkins from Henry Clay and John Lawson from Lafayette. Thank you, Coach. We appreciate you coming
Thank
in.
you.
Thank you, Connor.
Thank you,
Appreciate
Connor.
you.
Appreciate you guys.
And do we want to take a break or what?
Thank you so much. Appreciate you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
We'll be back after this.
If you're dealing with a sports injury, UK Healthcare Orthopedic Surgery and Sports Medicine is here to help you get back on your feet. Ranked as high performing by US News and World Report, the same physicians who take care of UK athletes are here to offer expert sports medicine care for you and your family. UK Healthcare Orthopedic Surgery and Sports Medicine, official healthcare provider for the KHSAA.
Our adventures always start at Clark's Pump and Shop.
Clark's Pump and Shop. Return, refresh, refuel.
This is where it all started, right here on this farm. We may have grown over the years, but we've never lost sight of what was important to us. We're continuing that tradition today, and we always will be for generations to come.
Welcome back into the Coaches Show. We're here at Rafferty's Restaurant, Alashiba Way. Well, Rafferty's has good food, don't they?
Everything they serve, it's the most eclectic menu in town.
It is.
You know, they got everything.
And we had quite a bit of it tonight.
We did have quite a bit.
We
of
ate
it.
before the show tonight. We were smart for doing that. Me, King, and Clyde, and Coach Meehan, and the beautiful Bridget DeVries, my bride.
Yep.
And we had a good dinner. But we're joined now by two of my favorites. I know y'all think I say that to all the coaches, but you are two of my favorites. John Lawson, of course, coach at Lafayette. Philip Hawkins, the coach now at Henry Clay. Man, it's hard for me to say, Coach. I keep wanting to say, the team up north, but you're the coach at Henry Clay now. So congratulations for that.
Thank you. Thank you very much. It's been an exciting 6 months.
How are we going to turn things around there at Clay for the Blue Devils?
Well, I think you just got to get the excitement back and the kids back out, and I think it'll solve a lot of its own issues. There's a pretty serious history at Henry Clay of winning.
Yes.
The last 6-7 years have been a little rough. But when you got a past and some history, sometimes it's easy to find your way back to that. And I've just spent 6 months going and getting all those kids out of the building that had not played for whatever reason, and teaching them how to play football, some back to the program, and you just got to do your best with it.
And on that note, Coach, you told me you have 100 kids on the team this year.
I had 102 at practice today, so that's a pretty good problem to have for all of us. But they're in that building. I mean, they're in that building. We have a big freshman class. And we just hit the ground running.
Right, you did. And Coach Lawson, you really nice season last year. You won a lot of games, and that was no surprise to you, though. I mean, you and I kind of talked about it on the preseason coaches show. You thought you had some kids that were going to win some games for Lafayette.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we just had some guys that on our senior class that knew how to lead, that had been with the program for a couple of years, and even though we only had a handful of them, they did enough leadership, made enough plays that it made a lot of difference in some of the games. And so this year we're bringing back some seasoned linemen and some good young players that played. Some guys that I've had been playing since they were freshmen, and so we're getting some valuable experience last year, and we just hope that it comes to fruition on the football field.
Now, I coached in this town for 35 years. The one reputation Henry Clay always had, but they hit you. And I know you have that background too, the way you feel about defense. Tell me a little bit about your defense.
Friday night I looked out on the field and 9 of the 11 had not played high school football, which is scary.
Yeah.
But we have been overwhelmed by how physical they are. I think kids naturally start to take, the personality of their coaches, and as you said, I do like the kids to be fairly aggressive, and we finding athletes to be DBs and physical kids to be linebackers is an important part of your success. And we just made a concerted effort as we wade through all these kids to find out who the physical, aggressive kids were and that liked contact. One of our safeties this year is a high-end wrestler. He's 6'1", 180-pound wrestler that does not mind contact. So, and he's super athletic.
Yeah.
So you teach that kid, he has no trouble coming up the alley and making a tackle. So, you just got to find the most physical kids, and we want them to fly to the ball, and I think they create their own turnovers for you when they're physical. And I think we had forced a couple fumbles Friday night, and most of it was just physicality.
John, What about your team? How do you look as far as size goes on the offensive and defensive line?
I'm not gonna say I have any huge guys. I mean, we have average size dudes. I mean, I have a couple maybe 6'1", 6'2" guys, but they're technicians, and so we have to rely on that when we don't have size.
Yeah.
So they have to be really good with their hands and feet. And with part of my new coaching staff, that's something we've brought to the table where these guys are better with their hands and feet and their eyes. So if they can get in the right place in the right position, we have enough athletes around us that it can make a difference any Friday night. And but I think the biggest obstacle for us this year is just having a team that has lost so many games the first couple years. We finally know how to win. Now we gotta know how to win on top of winning. It gets harder, not easier, just because you're winning.
Yeah.
And that mentality's been really hard here lately. Even though I have a good group of kids, they now realize that, look, we've won a lot of games, but you have to work harder than you did last year to keep winning.
Yeah.
It's not going to come easy. So not that they haven't been trying to meet those expectations, but that's just something I think we need to keep working towards.
Coach Hawkins, you've been at this a long time. You had success at Bryan Station, took them to the state championship game a few years ago. Defeated Trinity, I think the last
year before.
The last team that beat Trinity, I think. They're undefeated since then. So tell us what you think it is to instill the mental aspect in the players.
I'm going through something very similar than I went through 5-6 years ago when I first got to Bryan Station. Very similar to what he talked about. You're inheriting a team that won one game last year. It was 0-11 the year before. So those kids have not seen a lot of wins. And Bryan Station was not too far removed from that when I got to Bryan Station. I think they'd won 2 games the year before, maybe a game the year before that. So, my thing is we got to teach the kids how to win. And then once we teach them how to win, we got to teach them how to win again.
Yeah.
And then, he and I were talking on the way out to the trailer here that there's such a gap in 6A football. You can be a great 6A high school football team, win 7, 8, 9 games every year, and still not close the gap that it takes to get you into, regional championships, semifinals, state championships.
What you're saying to me, to get you to the level of the Trinities and the X's in the world, the male teams like that, is what you're saying.
Yeah, I mean, I had immediate success at Bryan Station, but the kids didn't have the experience of those massive games. So over a couple-year period, we had to expose them to, opening season with Trinity, Boyle, Bowling Green, Ballard. That was the first 4 of the year.
Yeah.
We went to the semifinals
Easy
and
game.
the state championship game. So, you got to put yourself out there. And then that's a fragile thing to do when you're taking over kids that haven't won a lot. I can't throw them to the wolves, but I'd like to. I'd like to say, hey guys, let's go play Boyle County. But I can't do that until I teach them how to win. And so I'm looking for small successes with these guys this year. And who knows, they might, figure out how to win some games. And if they do, then you build on it, the next year. It's a process. And I've told my staff that this might not turn around as fast as Bryan Station did. It was overnight at Bryan Station. I won 10 games my first year there, and people thought I had some magic wand. I didn't have a magic wand. It just lined out for me that way. Henry Clay has the propensity to win. It is there. With those 102 kids I have, they have the ability to win. We saw a little bit of it Friday at the scrimmage. So they do know how to win. We just got to, make that a consistent part of what we do.
Coach would agree with me. One of the best games we've seen on radio or TV, was about 10 years ago or 12. Went to Meade County to see Henry Clay play them in a playoff game. Tell them how good that game was.
That game was fantastic, the whole game.
Henry Clay got off the bus. I'll tell you what, the coaches at Meade County said, oh my God, we got to play this college team. Getting off the bus, they definitely had the look, didn't they?
Yeah, but Meade County stopped them at the very end on the 2-yard line, and that won the game. John.
Yes, sir.
The 2 coaches we talked to early, Coach McPeak and Hawk, they talked about one thing that people overlook a lot that they saw as a weakness for them was starting quickly in a game. So what happens when you have young kids, they get psyched up in the pregame and they blow all that energy and then they let up because they have to. I mean, it's just their body. Do you have ways, both of you guys, do you have ways that just calm them down, get them concentrating so they're ready to play football?
You know, that is also a learning curve. With each year, the chemistry of the team is a little bit different. And so even with our scrimmage on Friday night, we looked so elite during warm-ups. It was unbelievable. I thought these guys are going to catch everything. We're going to make all the plays. We get out there, had a couple downfalls. Things didn't work out real well. But, you know, I really talk about the mentality no matter what you go through, dealing with adversity. And that's the only way I can kind of keep the peace, per se, of what you're looking for. So if something goes wrong, my kids never hear me talk down to them. We'd be like, we're moving on to the next play because we can't sit back and wait on what just happened. So I have this I'm going to move forward mentality all the time, whether we make a good play, bad play, or indifferent. And I'm hoping that that will translate to them eventually to the point that they understand that that's just one play of the whole day. That's just the warm-up or whatever, but we have to keep moving forward.
Coach, how do you start fast?
Yeah, I mean, I've struggled with that as a head coach, too. I've had very, very good football teams find themselves in holes in football games. And, you know, I think if you're patient and, you know, make the kids understand that the next play should be your best play, you know, you can overcome some of that. You know, I have also coached some teams, if they got a lead on you, it was over for you. If you got a lead on them, I felt like I was having to do everything but play in the game to get them back in it. So, you know, personality of the team is going to dictate a lot of that, maturity of the players, those kind of things. You know, we made some mistakes Friday night. One good sign from our scrimmage, our quarterback, about the third play on offense, threw a pick six. Now, and I thought, well, you know, here we go. We're going to find out. And then they kicked it off to us, and we ran it back, you know. So that immediately put us back at where we needed to be. So, you know, I just think that sometimes kids are fragile, and the mental toughness it takes sometimes, you got to really, really grow that as a coach, and you're going to have to experience it. I mean, Trinity is a good example. You can get a 2-touchdown lead on Trinity. I did it. I've done it in the state championship game. They're not going away. No, right. They're the same in the fourth quarter with 1 minute left. And if you could model a team, that's a good example because they're just steady as you go all night long. They don't make a lot of mistakes. They hope you do, you know, and things come back to them. Finally, they draw even to you, and then before you know it, they're a touchdown ahead of you, and you know, then you start to panic, and that's just a culture piece you got to teach your kids, and you know that's what's going to separate you in the end anyway.
Well, coaches, before we get away, I want to ask you individually about each team. Tell us about your quarterback, your running backs, your offensive scheme, and the defense for each team, if you would. And it doesn't matter who goes first if you want to.
Well, I'm still, believe it or not, do not know who the starting quarterback's going to be Friday night. I got two seniors that are very similar in size and style and ability, and we've really just been watching to see who manages the football game better right now. One thing I will say that we've been able to attract some very athletic kids from other sports that has allowed us to throw the ball around to some kids that can make plays. You know, we picked up a basketball player that's ultra talented kid with that ball in his hand, and we're blessed. He ran 2 kickoffs back Friday night, 2 in a row. So he's just new to football, but he's so athletic, and we've got some big tight ends, and you know, we've got the pieces. The offensive line seems to be doing fairly well right now, and that's always been a struggle for my teams is getting that offensive line right. And, you know, I think what you'll see from us is I'm going to have to control the pace of some of these games early because they don't have a lot of experience, and I'm going to have to keep the games in front of them. But I think that we have a lot of different opportunities and ways to score the football.
What about you, Coach Lawson?
Well, for me, I was telling them earlier, like, this is my 4th season as my 4th starting quarterback. So consistent play at our quarterback is a huge factor. For you to be successful offensively, you need that guy that can produce, not only lead in the way that you need him to lead, but also place the ball where it needs to be placed. And Javon Kondo he's an athletic kid. He's a dual threat kid. He runs track, and he has some good tendencies to do some great things. But again, he's still inexperienced. He's going to go through his first year of starting as a quarterback, so there's going to be a lot of bumps and bruises with that. I do have a seasoned offensive line. They're still young, but at the same time, they've gone through the trenches for the last couple of years, and they've got some continuity together, and they really work well together. If they can hold the pocket long enough for them to get it to potentially my best players, which are all my skill guys at this point, we got some chances. I mean, they kept us in the game a lot of time last year, just getting the balls to the right guy at the right time. Defensively, we do have a new scheme because we do have a new coach there, but they have a really hungry mentality. They get to the ball fairly well. We do need to get better at some things discipline-wise as far as holding our water, but we're going to do great things at great times. We just need that consistency to make it happen all the time.
And who's your defensive coach?
Coach John Halleck.
Okay.
He's been around. He was with me when we went to state back in 15, 16.
Yeah,
he actually coached my son before we went off to college.
He's been around.
He's been around for a bit. I think it was with Creek last year. And he was a head coach for a bit there, but yeah, John Halleck, he's been around for a bit.
Good.
Coach Lawson, you open up with Collins. That's at Fayette County Bowl, they used to call it.
Yes, sir.
Henry Clay's playing that as well. Second ball game. What do you know about Collins? Have you seen them, or what kind of game do you expect?
They have a stud as a quarterback. That guy is a D1 athlete across the board. He threw for a couple thousand yards, ran for about the same last year. Our biggest job is going to be
ran for about the same as 2,000.
I think that's what I remember hearing. He can get out the pocket and run as well. So he's well-rounded, and they got some good athletes on the outside. We just need to get some pressure on them, throw them off the game a little bit. We probably need to slow the game down a little bit for ourselves, which I believe we have a pretty good running game to maybe help that out with us, keep that guy off the field as much. But it's definitely going to be a good test for us, especially for my young corners. But we're preparing well this week. The coaches have come up with some good schemes, and we're looking forward to the matchup.
And Coach Hoggins or Henry Clay, you have you open up with looks like North Oldham and that Fayette County, and then you got Madison Southern, Henderson, George Rogers Clark, Dixie, North Bullitt, Lafayette, and then you have Dunbar, Tates Creek, and Connor. So you end up with Connor. And that's kind of an interesting story up there because the coach passed away of a heart attack this year, had to get a new coach at Connor. So that's a team that will probably be inspired,
They'll be inspired, and they've got a really good head coach now. I mean, the Coach Rash, I believe.
Yeah, Noel Rash from Beechwood.
So he knows how to win football games. I don't think there's been any question about that. And, Friday night we do open up with North Oldham, and they're super well coached. I think they were 9-3 last year. And Brock Roberts, their head coach, I actually gave him his first coaching job. So there's a connection a little bit between the two of us. I want him to do well, but I also want to, I want to make sure he understands that he came to see the teacher.
Yeah.
I joke with him about that, but they're a super disciplined team, and they've got a big quarterback too, 6'4" quarterback, throws the ball down the field quite a bit. And I had a chance to see him in 7-on-7 this summer, and he likes to sling the ball around. And it's going to take some discipline from our guys, and they will give us all we can handle. I just hope we can be competitive in the game and at least look like we're trending in the correct direction.
I'm going to mention this to both you guys, Coach Lawson and Coach Hawkins. Philip Haywood unfortunately passed away in that car accident this summer, and the Coaches Association is doing a football with his name on it, and they're having other coaches, like for instance Jim DeVries, the coach of Bede County. Philip coached with him at Bede County before he got started at Belfry. He's presenting the game ball at a game away game this year. They're doing that all over the state. Are y'all participating in that at all?
Not that we haven't come up with anything like that at all. So.
Dave Buchanan is heading it up. Dave used to be president of the coaches, and I'm not sure what his title is now, but that's quite an honor. Philip Haywood was not only a great coach, as you two know better than I do, but he was also a better person.
Yeah, great person.
He was a great person. And they're on. Did you know that, Coach?
Yeah. I think it's pretty a neat tribute, and there couldn't be a better guy to represent football as it is a sport inside the classroom and on the field as Philip Haywood. So it was a loss for everybody.
Yeah, and we appreciate the job that you both have done at the station out Henry Clay, Lafayette, because we love high school football. So when you love high school football, you want all the teams, every team to succeed, because it doesn't do good for us in our ratings if we don't have good teams on the field. So you guys are a credit to that, the way you've turned Bryan Station program around, now Henry Clay, trying to turn it, and you at Lafayette.
And I will say this too, when I see you, John, I get psyched. I don't have any playing time left in me, but you get me excited. And you got that grin on your face like you know something we don't know. I've seen a lot of coaches in my life, so I'm going to keep a close eye on the Devils this year.
Yeah, we're going to be watching Lafayette for sure.
Well, from the words of Nathan McPeak, I'm just trying to get a first down. That's his. Now that's my new thing. I'm trying to get a first down.
Well, he asked Talbot. I think he's going to get a lot of first downs. Just give the young man the ball off left, off right.
I know, but he tries to make us all believe he's trying to just get a first down. So I'm going to use that as my moniker this year.
I'll tell you this: let's all try to get a first down Friday night, okay?
Yes.
Just get a first down.
Absolutely.
Well,
Yes, sir.
thank you, Coach Lawson. Coach, we appreciate you being on the show,
No problem.
and we'll get some other coaches. Anything else? We wrap it up with these two?
No, I think we've hit every nail we can hit. So we're looking forward to the season.
Yeah, looking forward to it.
Love doing your games, just seeing your guys play. So good luck, both of you.
Good luck, guys.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very
Always
much.
appreciate it.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you for your
Always.
time.
That's Philip Hawkins and John Lawson. We'll be right back. We want to thank some of our sponsors: Clark's Pump and Shop, Refresh, Return, Refuel, and UK Healthcare, Mingy Beef Jerky, BSN. The Scholastic Ball Report. We'll tell you about that show in a little bit detail, but a lot of changes coming. But anyway, we'll be back here at PrepSpin and talk to some more coaches. We're going to talk to Oakley Watkins up next. And let's see, he's at LCA. We got them Friday, Coach.
Yeah, that'd be a good
And then we'll talk to David Clark and Chad Pennington, still to come on the show.
High school sports have evolved. Thanks to PrepSpin. Tonight, catch all the hard-hitting action live. and in real time as the game happens in 1080p HD video. Join us tonight for the Mingy Beef Jerky High School Football Game of the Week with the legend, Gary Ball, Coach Mike Meehan, and the king of stream, William Moorfield. Nobody does high school football like PrepSpin does. The Mingy Beef Jerky High School Game of the Week comes your way now.
You're in. Welcome back to the show, the Coaches Show here at Rafferty's off Alasheba Way. Gary Ball, Mike Meehan, the one and only Mike Meehan.
Gary, it's a pleasure, buddy.
It is
always a pleasure working with you.
Well, we've had some great coaches on.
We've had some great coaches and some great food at Rafferty's.
And we got some great coaches in
We've
the
got
studio.
some good ones. I can't wait to talk to these guys.
The Holy War's in here.
Yeah,
the Holy War.
Neither have been in this mobile studio.
No,
put on the spot.
It's a very nice unit, and we appreciate you guys coming in tonight. We're trying to preview the 25 season. I know you guys are both anticipating it, and either one of you, tell us about how your preseason's gone, how your team's looking, and what we can expect.
Go ahead, Coach.
All right. Yeah, it's been a lot of fun so far. We got a great senior class, a selfless bunch. We scrimmaged two really great programs so far. We had Bryan Station with our first scrimmage, then we had Oldham County, who has 30 seniors back from last year's team, and we've got a roster of 50, so it was a great test for us. Learned a lot about ourselves, and we returned 8 of 11 on defense, which is great. We're replacing some big guys up front. We've got 4 guys on Division I rosters from last year's senior class, which is a extreme rarity. So that's been a test so far, and we're learning a lot about ourselves. So
got a radio voice, doesn't he, Coach?
Yes, he does. Yeah, you think I play?
Yeah, I mean we don't need to work. We just and no, I'm just kidding. And Coach Clark is with us from Lexington Catholic, and the Knights had a good preseason. John Lawson was in with us earlier, and you put a pretty good game on him the other night at Catholic, didn't you?
Well, we've been pretty really pleased with the way the kids have responded to a new coach. We jumped right in April, and we're able to install our offense and our defense in the spring, and so we feel like we're progressing just about the way that we need to, and looking forward to finally getting to kick it off for real.
And I'm looking forward to seeing them play. They got some players that I really like watching. And Coach, you know who they are. Brady Wasick, young man, I love watching him play. You got another young man like Dudek, one of your linemen. And I'll tell you, he's a solid player. You got a lot of good players, Coach.
We had a lot of kids returning, so we have a lot of experience. We're still pretty young. We will be led by Brady and Dudek are the two that you mentioned, but there are some other seniors that will be leading us as well. So we expect Brady to be able to do a lot of different things. You'll see them all over the place, both sides of the ball. So we're happy where we are.
Coach, you agree with you're an offensive guru. When Brady's got the ball in the backfield, you don't know if he's going to run it or pass it or whatever.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what I've noticed about him. and I'm sure saw it right away. He's tougher than nails. That kid takes licks and he just keeps going. I've never seen anything like
Energizer Bunny.
He can go everywhere at any time. He gets up, he gets hit. Speaking of getting hit, Lexington Catholic and Lexington Christian, one of the reputations you have in this city, whether you know it or not, is you like to hit people. These Christian schools can knock your butt off, And so that's one thing I tell people. I go to St. Paul, and one of the things people, how's Lexington Catholic going to be this year? I say, they're going to hit people. I don't know you, but I think that carries over. So how do you see that with your kids? Are they tough?
I think when you have kids like Brady Walsek that set the tone, you mentioned how physical he is. Well, that sets the tone for all the kids, and that's just what the expected behavior is. We're going to play fast, we're going to hit hard, and we're not going to be afraid to make mistakes as long as we're going full speed and really try to play fast and aggressive football.
At LCA, defensively, what's it look like for you?
Yeah, we returned, like I said, 8 of 11 guys on defense. I think the biggest thing, and people have been wowed by this with us, is we're big and we're fast. I mean, across the board, we got a 6'3", 285-pound nose tackle. We got 2 defensive ends that are both 6'5", 225 pounds, which is the biggest front we've had in a long, long time on the defensive side of the ball, which is pretty special. Got Mac Darlin, who's one of our leading tacklers. He's back. He's been a great senior leader for us. He's got his brother Bodie, who is rushing the passer and has really gotten after the quarterback so far. And then our defensive secondary is extremely deep with a lot of guys. I mean, we returned basically all 4 starters in that spot.
One guy, I know you didn't delete him because you don't know who he is, Thomas Sizemore. That young man is only a sophomore, right? He's
Correct.
One of the best sophomores, no doubt about it, in the state of Kentucky. I don't have to tell you that.
Oh, he's got already, and I know this is one of those things, he's a young talent, super athletic. He's got offers from Kentucky and Marshall already as a sophomore. Started every game for us. At linebacker last year as a freshman, was one of our leading tacklers, one of our leading interception guys, and it's actually talking to Mac after practice today and about how proud he is of Thomas and his leadership.
And your receivers, Tyler King had such a big year for you last year. You remember King?
Oh, absolutely.
We saw you numbered both teams. We saw Catholic about 5 times, Christian at least 3 or 4 times. We like to cover the private schools, don't we, Coach?
They like to have us.
Yeah, I know. And but you just got a wealth of talent, and you got a Burbridge on your team too. I think it's Jeremiah Burbridge. He's a sophomore.
Jeremiah, we think our receiver group is pretty special. We've got Tyler King and Sam Pearson are both back. We're both our leading receivers last year, even with us running the football as much as we did. Obviously, Jeremiah Burbridge, Cornell's on staff, former Dallas Cowboy himself, and he does a great job with our receivers and our defensive backs, helps with those position groups. Jeremiah's young. He's going to be a name to know for a long time.
And you got Carter Penix, who's going to take the ball quarterback for you, with another kid in the mix there too. You got 2 of them, but I know Carter Penix is really coming on for you.
Yeah, Carter, he's our backup last year to Saxton. Obviously, we ran the football a bunch with Saxton, and Carter is a guy that just understands what we're trying to accomplish on offense with what we're trying to do schematically. And Nash Whalen is the sophomore, who's one of our leaders on defense as well, and he's going to take some snaps at quarterback as well, and he's super athletic and dynamic with the ball in his hands.
I was one of the coaches on staff at Bryan Station when Cornell was playing. Yeah. And when I got a job at LCA, I noticed that Cornell was wanting the coach places. And I think when I was at Dunbar, I actually hired him to coach Dougie Allen. If you know, Dougie played at UK, because Dougie was a talent as a freshman, but he just didn't have the feet and the hands, and Cornell turned him around completely. So you're lucky to have him.
He's as good as you'll find. He's got a motor and a fire about him. He's still got some plays left in him, I think.
Yeah,
I got to ask you, Coach, how are you going to use number 19, Jamie Lee Patterson? He's a neighbor of mine, and I know he's a hard-nosed young man. I'm not saying he's a best player on your team or anything. He's an edge. Or are you going to use him on the edge rush, on the linebacker? What's your thoughts there?
He's a multiple guy for us on defense. He can play that jack linebacker, also plays some defensive end. He plays H-back for us on offense. Got great hands, good baseball player. So I think that translates to the field, being a multi-sport guy in his own right.
And Coach Clark, let's get you in here from Catholic. You've got one thing really kind of excited me about your team You moved the Schlarman kid. I'm looking at his size here, and if I can find him on here, this is, let's see, where's Schlarman? He is a freshman, right? That's Matt Schlarman. There's another Schlarman, right?
Yeah, Ben's a sophomore. Matt's his brother.
You moved
He's
him
a
to
freshman.
fullback, I think.
Yeah, he started as a freshman at tackle for us last year, and then he's hit the weight room really hard, grew a little bit, and has great feet, good hands, good vision. It's just a natural football player, so he's moving in the backfield.
In the scrimmages you've had so far, your receivers will look real good. As always, Coach, you're deep. But remember last year before when we covered Catholic, they got about 6-7 receivers. Last year they had a young man named Kreitzer who would just go get any football. Tell us about your wide receivers.
We have a nice core of wide receivers that are we won't have just one guy. We'll have several guys that can spread it out. I hate to start naming names because then I'll leave somebody out.
Duncan Gauntz is one of them.
Duncan Gauntz is a returner. Harrison Ledridge.
Yep, Ledridge.
Johnny Harper is another, and then you'll see some of our backs being to the passing game as well. So there's a nice group of. We also have a nice group of tight ends as well that you'll see make some plays.
One thing you and I talked about in the Lafayette scrimmage, you stopped Lafayette their first series. They punted to you, and number 10, I think his name is Jack Wedding. Is that right? The young man, number 10, was back. Was that Wedding? Anyway, it's number 10 for you in this scrimmage. Took it all the way for a touchdown.
Yes, that's Eli Gann. He's a sophomore.
Wearing the wrong number.
The practice uniform. So
yeah.
Some of the numbers, but
we like when that happens.
We love that.
Yeah, Eli Gann. He's a sophomore, and he'll be starting at DB with us, but he'll be seeing a lot of returning duties, and you'll see him at our H-back some too.
And Jack White.
Oh boy, yeah.
White. He showed signs of brilliance last year, but now he is stepping up. He is a senior. I expect a big year out of Jack White.
Well, front three, we feel that they're pretty solid. We're not as big as you guys, but we've got Mark Wazinski, Jacob Dudek, and Jack White are three down linemen, and they're quick, athletic, and they both have all three of them have good size on them. So we're really expecting them to anchor our defense.
Coach Clark, you're new. Give me a little bit of your background, and then talk to me a little bit about your assistant coaches. How you got them, or are they there and use the same ones, or what?
I was at the same place for 28 years. I'm a public educator. Retired 2 years. Well, I sat out one football season, so I was at Bardstown my whole career. I was the head coach for the last 17 years, and got out of the game. Missed it. Had the opportunity. I'm Catholic. Thought it would be a great fit. Love Lexington, so moved the family here, and really looking forward to this opportunity. Think that it was just a natural fit for us.
Yeah. And assistant coaches?
Assistant coaches have been great. I took on all the assistants that were there stayed. There was a couple changes, but not many. So they've really been great, showing me the Catholic tradition, some of the things that we do, and some of the things that are very, very important to the school. So we continue to try to keep as normal as we can for the kids, and try to continue to have that consistency with them.
Them tradition, you know about that up here in Boone County.
Yeah, Boone County, we have a lot of tradition.
Over the years.
I was talking to, I'm not throwing names around here, but I guess maybe I am. I was talking to Sean Alexander the other day, and I asked Sean, I said, what's happened to our Rebels? And Sean said, well, they built Ryle High School. That took some of our town. Then they built Cooper High School up there. And now Boone County is like the inner city school, Sean said, and that's true. But we're like all the talent athletically goes to Ryle and Cooper. Boone County just left in the dust, I guess so to be. Let's get Coach Hawkins back. No, not Hawkins. Let me get my sheet here. I'm sorry, guys. Oakley Watkins. I'm sorry. I'll get it straight, Coach. And boy, I tell you, when you look at your team, Mac Darlin, he does it on both sides of the ball. But you got a lot of guys that can do it on both sides of the ball, don't you? Football, defensively and offensively.
We do. I mean, that's the majority of our roster. When you're a 2A school, I mean, we've got 50 on the roster, and we love our roster, but those guys, they're multi-sport guys. They play baseball, basketball. Max, a wrestler. They play all the different sports. We got some lacrosse guys. The Hester brothers are long snapper and punter and kicker. They're lacrosse guys.
Triplets.
So they're two of the three triplets. Their sister's a star lacrosse player. So that's easy for people calling our games to say Hester snaps it to Hester. And
you know what? I did games in Northern Kentucky in the 90s, and the long snapper for the Bengals did color with me on the radio, Greg Truitt. And in 1995, coaches, he was making $500,000 a year long snapping for the season. So tell Mr. Hester to keep working on it. You know,
he is a talent, and like I've been doing this for a long time. He's one of the best long snappers I've seen. I know people are like long snapper. He really owns in on that, and that's important. And special teams is an important phase. I mean, there's three of them for a reason, and so we've got a lot of guys though that play both ways for us. And that's the interior and in the secondary and a receiver.
Yeah, I was going to say the same thing. I wanted to ask you about your kicking game, Coach. For you, Coach Clark, what's your kicking game like? You know, your kickers.
Well, we have a new kicker this year. We have James Barnett's coming over from the soccer team, so we don't have a whole lot of experience there. But he has a Division I leg. He's one of those kids where sometimes you can kick or you can't kick. And the very first day he got out there, he was kicking the ball through the end zone. We're like, yeah, you can kick, but it's something to work with. So, I think he has a chance to be something special as soon as he gets used to it more and more.
Field goals, extra points.
Field goals, extra points, and then
what about punting?
J.J. White will be doing our punting duties, and I think he did maybe some of it last year, so he has some experience. He's a unique kid. He's right-handed, but he's left-footed, but he throws with his right hand, so it makes things a little challenging when he does things, but he kicks the ball really well, so we're excited about him.
Well, we're looking forward to
same thing with your kickers real quick.
Yeah, we've got Dean Hester, so he's one of the triplets. He'll handle our punting and our kicking duties, so he's pretty talented, and he's really special at it. He'll do the field goal kicking, kickoff specialist, and punter.
Well, before you guys get away, we got Chad Pennington and Sarah getting ready to come on with us. We got to ask you about your schedules. You opened up with Ballard at Louisville Ballard, and then you got Dunbar at your place. We had Coach Johnson on the show. Ballard, always a good Louisville team, and that'll be a good test for you, won't it?
Yes, they're a 6A school. They're well coached. They're going to have good numbers. They're very athletic, physical team. Been very impressed with them on film. So I think it'll be a really good game for us.
And Coach, you open up in the eCampus.com Bowl, and we're looking forward to that, aren't we, Coach?
Yeah, that's good. We're going to broadcast that game, and that's one we're looking forward to that because those are two teams that will be playing hard right away early in the season.
Should be a good test. North Hardin's got a big defensive tackle. It's going to Louisville. He's he can move well. He's explosive off the football. They got a receiver, Ronald Lunds, who's extremely explosive, and he can make you pay one play at a time, and he's another Division I guy they have too. So it's going to be a great test. Coach Thompson does a great job there.
Yeah, and you got another good contest before you play them at 5:30. Bryan Station will play South Warren. That's a good ball game. A lot of athletes will be playing in that game.
Yes, very much so. And Brandon Smith at South Warren does a fantastic job, won multiple state championships, and so it's going to be cool to have those teams come here. We're trying to make it one of the marquee games in the state, and I think this is our third annual one we've done. It's always been a good one.
Yeah, we've done it every year, Coach. We really enjoy it. We do it every year. eCampus.com Bowl at the Lexington Christian. First game's at 5:30, then you play at 8:30. Thank you guys for coming out and joining us. We really appreciate it. It's been a great show, and you guys are a big part of that. And thank you for having us out at your place for big games this year.
Thanks, we appreciate it.
Thank you all so much for your time and all you guys do.
Thank you, coaches. That's the coaches of Lexington Christian, Lexington Catholic, and we'll be back with Chad Pennington, wrap things up here on the Coaches Show, and we'll be back thanks to the Roberts Insurance. They're in Richmond. Roberts Insurance, they insure half the state of Kentucky. Catastrophic insurance, Roberts Insurance.
All right, thank you guys. Appreciate it.
If you're dealing with a sports injury, UK Healthcare Orthopedic Surgery and Sports Medicine is here to help you get back on your feet. Ranked as high performing by US News and World Report, the same physicians who take care of UK athletes are here to offer expert sports medicine care for you and your family. UK Healthcare Orthopedic Surgery and Sports Medicine, official healthcare provider for the KHSAA.
Our adventures always start at Clark's Pump and Shop.
Clark's Pump and Shop. Return, refresh, refuel.
This is where it all started, right here on this farm. We may have grown over the years, but we've never lost sight of what was important to us. We're continuing that tradition today, and we always will be for generations to come.
Welcome back. Gary Ball with Mike Meehan, as always, on the Coaches Show out here at Rafferty's Restaurants. Rafferty's, I tell you, always good food out here, Coach.
Everything's good. Like I mentioned before, it's the most eclectic restaurant in Lexington. You can get anything here.
Yep.
And it's always good. And the service is always good, too.
Well, with us in studio, defending state champion, 15-0, Sarah Spartans. How's that sound, Coach?
Well, the state champion piece sounds really sweet. The defending, we don't believe in that.
Okay.
Because it's completely wide open. But, you know, it was a special year in 2024. It really was. Just the entire year was just very unique. And I always say we caught lightning in a bottle. And just being able to stay healthy, number one, develop a few key pieces that we weren't expecting. And then just to be on a kind of a magic carpet ride with some amazing seniors that just had a competitive will about them that I haven't seen in a lot of high schoolers, and so locked in and focused. You always hear coaches talk about one day at a time and one play at a time. You hear all this coach speak, and this is one of the first teams that I've ever played on or coached on that truly took that to heart. I mean, they lived it out every day. And that was really the reason to our success, because they enjoyed coming to practice, coming to workouts, like everything about what we were doing, they really enjoyed it. And even so much so when we won the championship, Brock Kaufman looks at me and is like, Coach, I don't know what to do. I'm just ready to go to 10 o'clock workouts tomorrow morning, you know? And so that was the type of focus that team had, which was really special.
Well, it also special when you have a quarterback like Cool Hand Luke engineering the offense. I mean, he was so cool. And you had some talent now. You mentioned Brock Kaufman. You had Charlie Slayball.
Yes.
I mean, he could run the ball. And who was the other receiver you had that year, Coach, last year?
Well, we had Camonte Braxton, who's
Yeah.
going to play at center. Chase Parker was our ex. You mentioned Charlie, and he was probably he may have been the most valuable player because he was the quarterback of the defense as a Mike linebacker, extremely smart, and his competitive desire and how he ran the football really set the tempo for us. I remember Coach McNamee, after we beat Pikeville, he said, we did not realize how good number 1 was, and that was Charlie. And he just dominated the game defensively, and then in the fourth quarter of a lot of different games, he was able to seal the deal with his running ability, which a lot of people would get caught up in all of our passing stuff, but in the fourth quarter we were able to put games away because we could run the football.
Yeah, Gary and I have followed your program right from the beginning when they first established football at Sayre, which was just an exciting time. And then the facility you have out there and just the whole bit. Tell me a little bit about your scrimmage this year. Did you have 2 scrimmages?
We did. We went and scrimmaged Lafayette. We did a NFL-style practice with them where we were situational, first and second down, third down, red zone. Coach Lawson and I kind of put that together, thought we got some really good work against each other that way. And then we went down to Breathitt County last week and definitely got tested, ran into some injuries. So we're trying to work through all of that. And certainly being a single A team, that's hard because numbers are not on your side. And so just trying to kind of work through that and see if we can weather the storm.
We say Henry Clay had 100 people out.
102 people out for the football team.
You don't see that, do you?
No, I'm very fortunate. We've got around 130 boys in the school, and I've got 46 on our team.
That's
so
pretty darn good.
I can't complain. But from a depth perspective, you lose a couple guys, it kind of changes things.
Yeah.
Well, you've got some talent. You mentioned Gage Pennington. He's a junior quarterback. Bo Perry's a senior quarterback. They'll both play, you told me.
Yeah.
Both play.
I had a great conversation with both those kiddos and Coach Perry last night. And I've been in that situation before. And I've always appreciated when coaches were upfront, honest, laid out the plan, and let's go execute the plan. So that's what I did with Bo and Gage and just talked them through it. I think our team is unique this year. When I say it's going to take all of us to be successful, it really is. Even at the quarterback position, because both of those guys play defense too. We're a single A ball team. So Bo's the starting Sam linebacker. And Gage this week is going to have to play free safety. So, to be able to go into the game knowing I've got 2 guys that if one needs a break or if we got a package for one, I can do that, gives us more flexibility offensively.
One player that I really like, Coach, he really came on for you last year. I think he's due for a really big year, is John Luke Minner. That kid has got a motor that won't quit. He's a heck of a player, and I think he'll have a big year for you.
Yeah, I'm excited about him. I think he can help us on both sides of the ball. I think, one of the things that I think his family has done a great job of in his recruiting process now that he's committed to Brown, they were very realistic about where he was in his development because he certainly has the body. And he did not play at all his sophomore year. He was out of sports for 16 months with a back. And so they've been very smart in the development piece, been very realistic, want to make sure that he's developing academically and athletically. And so I'm really excited about him going to Brown. I think the Ivy League is really starting to capture some really good players.
Charlie Slayball went there for baseball.
Exactly. And one of the pieces that the Ivy League kind of markets to their student athletes is, especially football, come here, let us develop you, be an all-conference player, get your Ivy League degree, and then you'll still have another year to go play elsewhere.
Yeah.
That's a big marketing tool that they're using, and a lot of kids love that.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
Very good point.
Yeah.
One of the things I've always been curious about, Coach, the logistics of your off-season program. Your facility is way out there, your football field. I like that area, by the way. I really that soccer stadium. Holy.
Yeah. I like it because it's close to where I live.
Yeah. But and then you're downtown to school. So what's the logistics of your off-season program?
Sure. So what we did was coming out of COVID, we kept our COVID schedule. So for every student, that E-hour is what they call it, which is that 8 o'clock hour every day, is study hall. So classes don't start until around 9. Well, what that allowed us to do is we've got 2 small rooms at the end of the gymnasium that we turned into weight rooms, a dumbbell room and then a power room. And so I'm able to have 7 o'clock workouts, and I've got stations. We'll do a power rack station, we'll do a dumbbell station, we'll do some movement on the gym floor. I can get my kids worked out by 7:45. They take showers, they can go to study hall, see a tutor or whatever. And, 80% of my team are multiple sport athletes.
Yes.
And so then that allows them to go play their spring sport or their winter sport in the afternoon. So it's worked out really well. I think our coaches do a really good job of working together so that the kids don't feel like they have to specialize or pick a sport. I'm 49 years old and trying to figure out what to do with the rest of my life. I don't think it's fair to ask a 16-year-old to specialize. And so I think our school does a really good job of that. So that's how we execute that plan.
And you've done a really good job, too, of developing not only quarterbacks. I mean, you're a former quarterback, and you developed Cole. He became a really good quarterback. He's down at Liberty right now.
Gardner Webb.
Gardner Webb,
Yep.
sorry about that. And then you developed your Luke, who's now at Dayton.
Correct.
And now Gage. There's always been a pennant in the quarterback, right?
There has, and that's one of the reasons I'm still coaching. But our staff, even last night in our meeting, we're constantly talking about that development piece, from the best player on the team all the way down to the youngest player, the freshman. And what does that development look like? What are we doing in practice? What's our drill sets look like? What are the fundamentals? Because I think, especially in today's football, we get so scheme oriented, we forget about the fundamentals that are going to execute the schemes, especially as you move later into the season. And so our staff does a really good job of always keeping that on the forefront of our conversations. How are we developing guys so they can continue to improve?
And the fact that you have 50 kids on the team, a Class A school, technique is more important than anything, really.
Yes.
Leverage on offensive line, defensive line, angles and all that. By far, that's what you need to concentrate on, because if they do that stuff right, you're going to be in the games.
100%. And then through the scheme, they learn why they're doing what they're doing. There's not enough time to prepare them for every eventuality. But if they understand why and they have the fundamentals in their toolbox to execute that, they'll make the adjustment on the run for you, even if they haven't seen the look, because they understand why they're being asked to do what they do.
Right.
They're not just robots. They're not just learning how or what. Okay, this is why Coach wants me to do it this way. So we really focus on that piece as well.
You mentioned how the team really garnered and loved the atmosphere, practice, and games and stuff. Loved playing for you last year. And I say that because when you look at the boosters that's there, the people that help the program, that's better than anybody, Coach Bennington. They're really, really good people.
Yes.
I mean, they'll do whatever you want them to do and need, they'll do it for you.
Our football families have been unbelievable. And we talk about this a lot. We talk about how it's a true partnership, that I've got the blessing but also a huge responsibility to work with the most important person in their life, and that's their son. And so that's a blessing but also a big responsibility that we can't take lightly. And so that partnership is so important, that communication with those families and understanding what we need to talk about, and whether it be an injury or in the classroom or whatever. And so we're constantly working on that relationship to where they feel supported, because they spend a lot of time with me, right? And so they've got to feel comfortable that the person that their kid is spending a lot of time with, that he's got their best interest at heart. And so we work on that a lot, have a lot of conversations about that. And we always say this: the school provides the opportunity, but we as families provide the experience. And that's what's really important when you're trying to build a program.
Yeah, and I like the fact that I'm talking to a lot of these other coaches that came in here today. A lot of their concentration is just building men, because honestly, we need that so bad, Coach. We really do.
Right.
And I think football is one of the best ways to do that. And I've seen it with my sons, and I've seen it with other people that I've seen who had sons on the team.
Yes.
You have that responsibility with your sons. But I remember specifically getting really upset at my son, who was a center, my first son, oldest son, and I just said some things to him during practice. And my assistant coaches after the game said, you talk to your son like that? Of course, me being, yeah, he's just a member of the team. He's like everybody
That's
else.
right, yeah.
But on the way home in the car, I told my son, I said, look, don't tell your mom I said all that stuff to you. Because
Right.
we know who the boss
Right.
is.
Yes. Well, one of the things, one of my best friends who I played college ball with, and he always says, football requires more than most are willing to give. And that's why I think it's so unique. as a sport. You've got to be willing to give it all, and that's the only way you can be successful.
Yeah. Well, we certainly know that the season so far, Coach. Look at your schedule. I want to talk about one player before we talk about your schedule.
Sure.
Wyatt Moore, the big young man, has really come in and asserted himself on that offensive line.
Very excited and proud of him. He's been a 4-year starter now. This will be his 4th year starting. Came in very young, very new to the game as a freshman, and has just completely just taken one step at a time each year and developed into a really nice player. And now we're asking, for him to do some things defensively as well. So I'm excited to see where his trajectory goes with his recruiting and things. He just got offered by the University of Dayton as well. And he's one of those guys that I think is on the rise and can really do some good things, not only on the high school level, but certainly in college.
I'm going to say kudos to you, Coach, and your coaching staff. You had a player by the name of Bernard a couple years ago. I played a lot of tennis with him, grew up with him, knew his father, Bill, the vet, and everything. And you really developed him. He became a pretty good football player, Coach.
Yeah.
Good enough to go to college.
And Jack didn't start playing until he was in 8th grade.
Yeah.
And right. And so I think that's one of our goals, is to allow kids and provide them the experience to get so excited about the game that they just love being a part of it. They love being a part of the brotherhood and everything that's about it. And being at Sayre and having that Sayre diploma then opens up doors and opportunities for kids that may not get into a school as a student but can get in as a football player.
And you get a lot of them in the Ivy League schools. So,
correct.
Ditto, rest my case.
Yeah, really, that's it.
Well, look at this schedule, Coach. They open up with Kentucky Country Day. That's a pretty good football team.
Yes, it is.
Bishop Rossett, pretty good team. Williamsburg, Bracken County, a pretty good football team.
Very physical, yes.
And Newport, Holy Cross, Berea, Frankfort, Eminence, and Middlesboro. Coach, we'll be out there for one of those games, I'm sure. King, if King help me out here, we're going to be out at Sayre, King?
I hope so. I hope Chad
will
have us.
Okay. Yeah, we'll be out there if you'll have us. And,
absolutely.
But you got a good schedule, Coach.
We're proud of the schedule, and the reason that we are is that obviously when you come off a 15-0 state championship team, a lot of teams don't want to play you anymore. Right. And we were able to build a schedule that has 9 upper echelon single A teams with 1 double A team. So we're still able to play apples to apples. And I know sometimes people want to see us play a 4A, 5A school, and that's okay for that week, but it doesn't do us any good from a development standpoint as well as an injury standpoint, because for us, we're going to have 6 to 8 kids that take the brunt of the game physically, where when you play a 5A school, they've got 26 kids that take the brunt of the game physically. Yeah. So it's, although you may win, you may not come out of there truly winning for the next week, the district play or the playoffs. And so to be able to schedule those 9 upper echelon single A teams, they're all top quality programs. Been there, done that, all tough in the playoffs.
Well-coached
teams, exactly.
Yeah, looking at Bracken County, they say they got the best team they've ever had in their school coming back this year.
Yes, got a really good running back, very physical. We have to go there. And to be honest with you, we played them in week 2 last year, and that was a game that showed us that, yes, we could be physical with the Pikeville, with the Raceland. Bracken County proved that to us.
You needed that too going to the playoffs with the victory
that.
you had finally over Pikeville.
Yes.
But anyway, Coach, you got anything else for Coach?
No, I'm just we're excited about watching your team again this year and watching another Pennington at quarterback. Is he a shotgun type guy or under center type guy?
Well, we do mostly shotgun anyway. I'd love to be 65-35. Shotgun to underneath if I could. I will say, being the third child, he's scrappy. I mean, he took 2 crazy hits last week in Breathitt County that you should not get up from, and he bounced up. And so that's just that third child mentality. Sometimes I've got to back him off a little bit.
Use the cold and Luke hit on him, he get back up from anybody.
Exactly. Exactly. So I'm excited to see, what he does, and I've got to be patient with him because he doesn't have the experience on Friday night. So we've got to work through a lot of those things and allow him to be baptized by fire, if you will.
Well, we hope we get to see your team.
Well, yeah, and before you get away, let's talk real quickly about your assistant coaches, because they are a big part of any program. And I know you're really proud of your assistant coaches.
Really am, and been very fortunate when we've lost people to other going to other places or whatever it may be. We've been able to replace them, and so first starts with Brian Washington, former head coach, salt of the earth guy. I'd really rely on him because he's been there as a head coach and just really so much wisdom there, and he has so much humility. Josh Smith is back with us as associate head coach in D-line, O-line. Very versatile as a young coach in his mid-30s, and does a really good job helping us with logistics and things like that. Was able to bring in Marty Moore this year. So Marty's on our staff coaching outside linebackers and tight ends and giving us that expertise. Really excited about him kind of getting,
good addition.
Yes, getting back into the fold. Now he's going to go watch Mason play on Saturdays and things, but he's there throughout the week to really help us, give us that extra veteran leadership from a coaching standpoint. And I've got two young coaches that I'm really excited about. Aaron Maggard, who played at Georgetown College, was a record breaker there. This is his second year with us, working with wide receivers, DB. Is going to allow him to coach, be the offensive coordinator of our JV team, which has helped develop him. And then Kamari Carey, who was at Eastern Kentucky, Western Michigan. And so, those guys coming fresh off the field, they can give me a unique player perspective and maybe some things drill-wise and things that they've learned coming off the field that really helps us. So I think we've got a good dynamic of veteran coaches, young coaches, and we try to piece all that together.
Well, you open it up this Friday at Sayre Athletic Complex. They're off of, what is that, Old Richmond Road? Or
Canebrake, 300 Canebrake Drive, right off of Richmond Road, yes.
Kentucky Country Day is your opponent. And good luck against them, Coach. Thanks for joining us on the show. We appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
That's Chad Pennington, the fine coach of Sayre, the Spartans, 15-0 state champions last year. They have another good team this year. Thanks to all the coaches for joining us on the Coaches Show tonight. We appreciate it, Coach. Any final thoughts?
I've enjoyed it. I always enjoy it. It gets you really excited for high school football this year. We've been doing it for a while.
Yep.
We love every minute of it. So
how long have you been doing this, Coach? Radio and TV.
Well, let's see. I'm 100 years old.
Let's see, about 17 years?
Yeah, I think so.
I've been doing this
2009.
I started in 1984. It's my 41st year, Coach. Yeah. That's a long time. That's almost as long as you've been alive, Chad Pennington. Well, thank you, Chad. The fine coaches, Sarah. You do a great job of getting your team ready. I know you do a good job this year. Jake Bernard was a really good friend, and he really spoke highly of you, Coach. And we wish the Spartans the best. We'll be back. We'll be with you Friday. I'm going to say this. We got the ecampus.com Bowl. Doubleheader. First game, 5:30 will be Bryan Station as they take on South Warren. That's Brandon Smith's ball club. Right. Brandon Smith said he never gets here around this area. I say, even to see your father, Chuck? But his father's Chuck Smith. Well, he said, yeah, he does. Anyway, and the second game will be LCA as they take on North Hart, right? Right?
Yep.
Right.
Yep, that's it.
Right.
So join us Friday, 5:30 with Bryan Station, South Warren. Until then, thanks for listening and watching the Coaches Show. Thanks to Clark's Pump and Shop, UK Healthcare, Mingy Beef Jerky, and Roberts Insurance out in Richmond, Kentucky. On Main Street, they insure 3/4 the state of Kentucky. And BSN Sports. Thanks for watching the Coaches Show and PrepSpin Podcast.
If you're dealing with a sports injury, UK Healthcare Orthopedic Surgery and Sports Medicine is here to help you get back on your feet. Ranked as high performing by US News and World Report, the same physicians who take care of UK athletes are here to offer expert sports medicine care for you and your family. UK Healthcare Orthopedic Surgery and Sports Medicine, official healthcare provider for the KHSAA.